Sparking Change with Gigi, a show that aims to make the world a better place by bringing together authentic minds. This show encourages each of us to be the change we wish to see in the world. Get ready to be inspired and join us on this journey to create a brighter future for all.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sparking Change with Gigi. I'm your host, Giovanna Tartarone, and today's show is dedicated to our children, our future generations. And I have three wonderful, beautiful ladies who are committed to making sure that our kids have a vision, have a purpose, live on purpose, and really experience what life has to offer. So I'm going to just introduce, so everyone's going to introduce themselves, tell them a little bit about themselves and why they feel that children need to be creative and what's their passion for our children. I'll start with you, Anne, because you are the leader and you've put together a wonderful group, and we want to hear all about your vision for children. So please introduce yourself. I know we met a few years ago and we're on a mission. So let's talk about that.
Hello, everyone. My name is Anne and I'm from Taiwan. I love to work with children. I found out that I have this passion in the university. And so I have been working with children, and I feel that our education for children, something is missing. And for example, for myself, I have been study in the best university in my country, but I feel very lost and I was not happy and not confident. I said, what is happening and what is missing? And so that I start to seek some new way of education. So I want to build this new way education to the next generation. So these kids, when they grow up, they have confidence and they are happy and they know their purpose in life. They have direction, knowing where they want to go. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. You know, as an educator, I can tell you that the number one thing that's so important, and you mentioned it, Anne, is building their confidence, right? When they have their confidence, they can take it anywhere, right? They can do anything. And yes, Shemo Dai, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So hi everyone, I'm Shamudaya and I'm from Malaysia. I am a final year medical student right now. And for me personally, when you're in the medical field, you have this specific branch called pediatrics. It deals with children. And that's where I really realized that I really like to be with children because they're just so innocent and so curious, and it's cute. And one thing I want to really help children out is to help them to really express their individuality rather than being suppressed and putting themselves into a box. And because we are all unique in our own ways, and if children are able to express themselves in their own way, it really helps them even growing into adulthood. Keep that curiosity going on even into adulthood. So yeah.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. And when they can really see beyond, because we have a beautiful imagination, right? And when they can use that imagination to see beyond what's there in front of them, I know as an elementary school teacher, I wanted to always bring out the fun, the creativity, like you say, so that they can just see themselves from a different perspective, right? See themselves that they can really achieve what they want by having the confidence, by not setting limits and boundaries. I will say there's very little time in the school day for kids to be creative. That's what I experienced as a teacher, because there's so many things that they need to get done to be prepared for the test. And so that leaves very little time for them to express themselves. So I totally agree with you. Absolutely. And Dr. Mizuya? Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much, Gigi. It's such an honor to be here with you guys,
Thank
all
you.
such inspirational ladies like you shared. So, yeah, I'm Radha. I am a medical doctor and now also a coach for health and well being. And my passion, like Shama was saying, is with pediatrics. It's always been to work with children. I see them as our future. They are the innovators. They are those beautiful, innocent, creative beings that haven't been tainted yet. And that was where my passion for pediatrics came in, that these children are the future. And if you give them all the tools, you give them, like Anne says, the purpose, give them the confidence, you give them their health, you give them knowledge, all these things that cannot be taken away from them, then their roots are strong and they can flourish. And that's, we were talking earlier, and it's as long as you give them the best nutrition and nurturing from the beginning, then who knows what beautiful blossoms they're going to create into.
Absolutely. And as again, I go back to my teaching days, building that foundation, the foundation of they can, without any intervention, they can feel it themselves, how confident they are to move to the next level. A lot of kids are afraid. A lot of kids, unfortunately, today, and let's talk about it because this is a topic that concerns many parents, right? They are so locked into this wonderful thing that, can help us or hurt us, right? And so they're losing the connection because they're being, and I'm going to use this word a little loosely, but they're being programmed by this phone, right? So they're losing that creativity, like Shamu just said before, that when they're being programmed, it becomes a habit. It becomes an addiction. The phone is becoming an addiction and losing that authenticity or that creativity that they have within them. And so, what's your view on how to help children to get away from this? And I'll start with you, Anne.
Yeah, okay. We have a best solution. Since children already have a phone and they will always go online. So we are creating a platform online that children come here, they can learn about who they are, they can discover their uniqueness, their gifts, and their purpose. Not only learn this so important topic about life, but also they can connect, really connect with others, make friends, and these are positive friends, like they all like doing something with life, with their goals, their dreams. So we are creating this platform that when children go online, they are not just scrolling the social media, which leading them nowhere, get them lost, but we create this platform. They come here, they learn about life, about themselves, and they connect with other like-minded kids, which are positive kids and who have purpose, direction of life. And we so the kids, they already know direction to go, not just influenced by the social media, but they know where to go, and they make friends and become partners. They can achieve something beautiful together. So
I
this is
love
we use this internet as in the
positive way.
positive best way. Oh, who gives me these fireworks?
The universe is saying, yes, let's
Oh,
celebrate this vision,
yeah.
that all of us here have the same vision, is to really help children connect to their authentic self, right? To have a passion for and a passion and a purpose, goals that will drive them to really connect and serve others in a fulfilling way. And, I believe that those fireworks went off because, we're celebrating this new beginning of, I love what Dr. Musura said earlier. You said we want to create a global school.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me spoke to my heart because, I mentioned I'm from Italy and you guys are from other parts of the world as well. And when we're bringing together these children from all parts of the world, oh my goodness, what are we creating here is something that will enrich the lives of our students, right? So talk to us about your, and I see you you are want to finish up what
I
you were
haven't.
saying.
I forgot to mention this platform is open globally. That
Yeah,
means we are inviting welcome kids from all around the world. They can know each other since young age. Bel
oh my goodness,
Imagine
beautiful.
that if we are kids, we have friends like Radha, like Shamo, and we already have these international friends. How much our life will be enriched. How can you
Yeah,
imagine when you mix with people with from different culture, different country, different background? That is the most beautiful things. You have so open mind and wide world view and understanding of each other and trust each other and do something together, create something wonderful. That
yeah,
is the world that we are creating. We want to give children this opportunity that they can connect with people, with kids from other side of the world. And so they grow up a little bit, they already have this bridge, this understanding, this trust, and they can together make this world a better place. Yeah.
so beautiful, so beautiful. So yes, tell us what your thoughts are about the global school, Dr.
For
Musura.
myself,
Yes,
yes, I just imagine. So for me, growing up, traveling, just like Anne says, was that nutrition, that nourishment. It excites me to learn about all these other cultures, all these people. And it's
yes,
enabled me to get friends in so many areas. Like I might go to Colombia, but I will meet somebody there from Taiwan or
yeah,
something like that. And so I'm able to then visit all these different people and enrich my own life, my knowledge, because it's one thing to read about it and it's another to just fully immerse yourself,
yes,
experience it. And that's the kind of thing that I want my kids to go through, that they get that exposure, not just for a short time on a holiday and it's a little bit sheltered,
right,
but actually you really having that opportunity to go into somebody's home, really just be a part of the community, learn about
yeah,
it, like Anne says, because we have so many, you've shared it here, like my own background, I have relatives from all parts of the world and they do things so differently, and I pick up those
yes.
beautiful ways of living, um, and it creates that balance for you as well. So
Oh, that's beautiful. And but just like a thought came into mind as a teacher, we used to celebrate like International Day. We used to have like International Day, and children from all different parts of the world brought in, either a dish or,
right.
right. And it was such an experience to know that um, how um, how alike we were, more similarities than differences, even though we're across the world. So when we know that how connected we are, even from different cultures,
Mm-hmm.
it's just such a beautiful experience. What you said, it's becoming one, becoming one, right? Becoming one big family. And Shimo, what is your thoughts about a global school?
Oh, I'm honestly getting goosebumps just hearing you guys talk about it. So it's amazing. So I feel like, we can kids are naturally curious beings, right? And they like games. So we can also, in a way, implement that into it. So the phone, instead of it being a tool like you were mentioning, Giovanna, programming them, it becomes the right tool that helps them to connect with not just like people around them, but also globally. And I think that also will kind of expand their knowledge in technology in a way, because they'll know how to use Zoom and how to use all these other
Yeah.
platforms to connect with each other. So yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's honestly, it's limitless. Yeah.
It's funny. I think about the pandemic, and we can see how many things went wrong, but there is the opposite of how many things went right. And one of my views on it is that it truly, and this is something that we experience as adults during the pandemic, where we are on Zoom and we connected with people from around the world. And as adults, we can understand what we're trying to do here with children. We're trying to do the same thing, but learn to where they help each other. So it's actually, a community where children get to experience what I would say going away to college, right? Where everyone goes, this is how we got to experience really the culture, the different cultures, is when we entered and went away to college. I personally did not go away to college, but I know when my daughter, my son, especially, he went, there was people from all over the world. So this is what we're trying to do online, and we have a mission to bring children together from across the world, so that they're not just having friends when they're 18, 15, 18. They're having friends at a very young age, and by the time they are adult, they will have made a decision, have a decision on what their goal is, have a purpose. And I truly say to myself that when we know our purpose, when we are following our passion and what we love to do, we're going to have better health, better life, um, connections, better relationships, less worry, fear, and doubt, because we know what we are, how we are contributing to this world, right? Because like I don't know what came over me, but the last couple of weeks, I said it on Facebook. The song "We Are the World, We Are the Children, we make this world a better place" came to mind very strong. So I feel like this is a mission that we are coming together to help our future generation. Let's talk about this dream class that Anne has been dreaming for the last, I've been working with Anne for the last couple of years to really put together a place where children can come and connect and work with each other to help themselves grow. So, Anne, let's talk about this dream class and this vision that you have, because it touches my heart, and it's going to touch many parents who have children, and teachers and educators, to really see how education can change, can change and help our children change in their thinking and what they can do.
Yes. So as I grew up, I feel like I lost my voice
Mm.
and I lost myself or my direction of life. I'm very lost. So it took me many, many years to search who I am and what I want to do in this life. And and later on, I start to take personal development programs, and I start to express myself to find back myself. And then I met Bob Proctor. He teach us how to decide our life goal, our purpose, and how we can change ourselves to become the person we want. And I found out, wow, this is such valuable information that should be taught in school. When I was child, when I was child, I was told to discover who I am, to discover my uniqueness, my gift, and I can express it,
Mm-hmm.
and I can find my way. And wow, my life will be so different. And I saw this is a main things that is missing, the missing piece in
Yes.
school. We teach kids a lot of things. They have so much knowledge, information, but very little teaching them about who they are, and very little how they can find their way. No, we just want them to do the exam and become similar person, but not the unique only one in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why we come up with this idea, this dream class. We use the principle that Bob Proctor teach us, like a step by step how we can discover ourselves and learn about our goals and how to achieve it. We make it children friendly, so the
Yeah.
kids can understand that. They was, oh, what is your wishes? What do you want to accomplish? And so the children may say, oh, I want to learn how to make cookies. I want to run faster. I want something. And that's the amazing magic things happen, because once they are encouraged to express their wants, and they are encouraged and supported to pursue their goals, the motivation start to come. They start to drive themselves and become better person. You know, many parents, I don't know in your country, but in our country, the parents need to remind the kids, oh, do the homework, do the housework,
Oh,
do
it's here
this,
too.
do.
It's here too,
So
for
the
sure.
children, why you are so passive? Why you procrastinate? You know, the parents complain. Why? Because they have no motivation. They have no goals. But once we find out their inner motivation, their wants, and encourage them, they start to improve themselves. They want to, everybody want to progress and improve themselves. They just don't know how, because they are asked to do something they don't want.
Yeah. Yes, of course.
They,
Of course.
so it's so important if we want them to drive themselves, become a self, what's the English word?
Motivated.
Self-motivated person.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we just need this. You know, it's like just open it, and then they start to drive, and they will achieve really beyond our imagination,
Yeah.
because they already have these gifts, this potential inside. We just need to bring it out. Yeah.
I love that. I love that. And again, I'll go back to my teaching days, how there was very little room for that, because as you mentioned, we had to teach to the test. We had to make sure that the kids, got, all the lessons in. Um, when there was trouble in the classroom, it was because they were not motivated, right? They didn't like the subject. I remember one time, and I'm going into middle school now. I remember one time we had to do a lesson on compare and contrast, and I was the special education teacher in the room. So the general education teacher did the presidents, right? To compare and contrast two different presidents from, Abraham Lincoln and George Washington, let's say. And then I came in and I saw, the kids that I had to work with, they definitely had no interest, right? But when I made them compare two basketball players, well, let me tell you, it was they lit up like you wouldn't believe. Why? Because it was the basketball players that they knew. they can relate. They played basketball, right? So this dream class that, we're creating is about having children connect to what they can relate to, what they want to do. I mean, you mentioned Bob Proctor. He's my mentor too, and I took the course, so I know exactly what you're talking about. And it's about, what's the first question he taught us was, what do you really want? And kids don't, many, not just kids, but many don't know what they really want, because we're never taught to think about what we really want. We're taught to think about what we need, what we need to survive. And right?
Or what's the parents want? What's the teacher want?
Correct, because we know lots of people who went to school to follow the family tradition of, okay, my dad is a doctor, I need to be a doctor, or and years later they come to realize, wait a minute, I wanted to do something else, and parents are like, I just spent all this money for you to go to medical school and you change your career. But it happens because we end up discovering what we really want. Dr. Masud, can you talk about that a little bit? Like, have you seen, I mean, I know you speak to parents a lot in your field. What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, what immediately came up from what you were sharing there is that expectation. And like you shared, definitely in medicine, there is that expected career, or even in certain cultures, it's just expected that you will do something professional, you will go into a particular career. But more so in my line of work, whether it was as a pediatrician itself or in the coaching sense, there is a lot of that expectation that people are not feeling like they live up to. And if we put that on the kids, like they're constantly trying to achieve something that's probably taking them far away from where they want to be. Just because, like Anne says, you're living the life of somebody else's dream even. And that pressure for children, and a really big thing that we said, even touching on technology, these expectations, they manifest as illnesses. All of that emotion that is not dealt with, that frustration, the agitation that I don't know who I am, or you're not letting me express it, and I'm constantly pushing that in, and then it gets to a point, it has to come out some way, whether it's what we call mental health, whether it's anger, whether it's just manifesting physically as rashes, pain, whatever it is, it has to come out at some point. So that's why it's so important to me, and I see for everybody in this group, that we take care of that. We nurture it from the very beginning so that they learn to manage those. I'm not saying later on in life, expectations won't be there, but it's setting those boundaries, learning how to manage the stress, all of those inputs from technology. Like Shamo said, use that technology to our advantage. It's there, but when we look at things that are bad, that's all we're going to see, but the good is still there. Like you were saying, we are taught to compare and contrast. Sure, but let's find the things that are similar rather than constantly looking at why are we so different. We are all humans at the end of the day. Like, let's see what we can do together. What is similar? What makes us able to help each other? So Anne is saying also, like, yes, the uniqueness, but bring it into a community and say, okay, these are all of our strengths. Let's build that together.
Absolutely. And Shoma, I do want to talk a little bit about what Dr. Masaya just mentioned about mental health in children, right? We see a big shift. You see a big shift in what you're learning and what you're experiencing around you with children and mental health.
No, honestly, as Dr. Mazuri was talking, I was actually relating it to mental health myself. So I'm really glad you asked me this question. So in a sense, I, I when we go through our psychiatry posting, most of the time when we are doing this, we have this thing called a formulation table where we basically list down what are the factors that cause them to have the mental illness. And 9 times out of 10, childhood trauma is like that all the time. Childhood trauma, childhood trauma. And most of the time it's because, again, like you all were saying, it's about that suppression. They are constantly being suppressed. You have people's expectations, from young, from your parents, what you should be doing, what you should be eating, and all of that. And for me personally, I attended a course by Larry Gilman. That's how I met Anne, actually. It's called The Mastery of Self-Expression. And Larry asked us in the segment, what do you really want? And, imagine if that was done since childhood. Like parents actually asking, what do you really want? The teachers are asking, what do you really want out of this? Like even Joanna was saying how in the education sector that you ask them about 2 basketball players and that was what they really wanted and they could answer with so much passion, you see. So
Yeah.
in that sense, all of this childhood trauma, it will not be a childhood trauma, but rather it will be something they remember and look back on and be like, wow, I had such an amazing childhood, rather than becoming like a trauma and, manifesting into mental illnesses and all of that. So yeah, that's my take on it.
That's beautiful, because it's right. It's about giving the children the opportunity to make a decision, right? So we're going to come back and talk about that, because that is so important, because I promise you, I did not do that with my kids until I learned this stuff, how important it is to teach children to make decisions at a very young age. But we'll be right back. We'll take a quick commercial break.
Now, the vast majority, approximately 95% of the people of all countries, go around and around without aim or purpose. They drift with the circumstances of life, good or bad.
A drifter is one who permits himself to be influenced and controlled by circumstances outside of his own mind.
Whereas the successful individuals create their own circumstances and ride them to victory.
When you're on purpose, you're living on purpose. You will never quit if you have a real purpose.
A burning desire to be and to do is the starting point from which the dreamer must take off. But what I have done has been recorded, it's been tested, it's being taken to a free world, and it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born.
And it's going to benefit millions of people who are not yet born. We're some of those people. That we're spreading this to the world. As your awareness grows, the doubt is gone, so that you can manifest whatever it is your heart desires. Isn't that beautiful?
So, and as you know, you and I both are part of the Napoleon Hill Institute, and this is a personal development company that is absolutely geared to helping people find their purpose and their passion and live their life with fulfillment. So I encourage anyone to go check them out, because if you're ready for change, they're the #1 company out there for us. But I want to go into now about decision, as I spoke before, right? Both Bob Proctor and Napoleon Hill, they talk about the importance of decision. And I'm just going to share a quick story how, as a parent, I made a decision for my daughter in the very early stages before I found out about this information. So my daughter, since she was 6 years old, her graduation, I'll never forget, she goes up there and she says, had to say, what does she want to become? So we had this conversation at home, and I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? She's like, I want to take care of animals. I'm like, oh, you want to be, what do you call them? Not pediatrician, veterinarian. And I said, oh, okay. I said, but don't you think babies need you more? Like, so I'm trying to convince her really to become a baby doctor. So of course, very easy to convince children, right? She now wants to become a baby doctor. And as she was getting older, we understood it was a pediatrician. And she's 8, 9, 10, pediatrician. I'm going to be a doctor, baby doctor, pediatrician. And then one year I went to go buy her for Christmas Dr., like her nameplate, like Dr., Bianca, so that she can see it every day, right? Because I'm learning about the law of attraction, right? So she can see her name as a doctor. So I'm planting the seed in her head of what I want. Let me make that clear. What I want, because I have doctors in the family, and I just felt that, yes, this is a great move for my daughter. We have people that can help her in her career. So a few years ago, she comes to me, she goes, Mom, I think I'm changing my mind a little bit. I don't really like blood, so maybe I'll be a nurse. And then shortly after that, she comes back and says, well, to be honest with you, I don't even want to be a nurse. She goes, I think I want to be a teacher. I go, oh. I said, you know what? It's fine with me, whatever you want to be. Because now I started studying this information and thinking, it's not about what I want. It's about what she wants. And her latest thing is she wants to be a psychologist. So I'm like, okay, we're still in that field of teaching and helping others. And if that's what she wants to do, I'm going to bless her and let her go on her path. And I'm so glad that I learned the information of how to allow children to make a decision, because I could just see myself spending all that money in medical school, and then she comes back and says, so I'll be paying the big price for it. But besides that, the point is that she was able, I allowed her, because I know now how important it is for children to express and make a decision about what really fires them up, what they really want to do. Because when they're doing something they love, we know they're going to achieve success. They will be given everything they need. They're going to have the confidence, because we're not getting in their way. The phone is not getting in their way. They're not comparing themselves to other children, because they're focused on what they want, and they're building their self-esteem, their image, their confidence, because it's something that interests them. It came from them. It didn't come from somebody else. I always say, if you're making a decision, and it's a decision that is coming from your heart, you know it's the right decision. But when you're making a decision because you're trying to please someone else, whether we're talking about children or adults, it doesn't matter. If you're making a decision that is not coming from you, then I know, and I think we can all agree here, that you're never going to feel at peace, because it wasn't your decision. So, Anne, let's talk about that, because I know this is a big component about allowing children, how important it is to allow children to make decisions at a young age, whether we're talking about presenting an apple or banana, which one do you want, right? A very simple way of teaching kids to make decisions at a very young age is crucial. So let's go into that.
Yes, decision is something that took me many years to learn. I was a person like procrastinating and indecisive because I didn't know what I want in life. And so ever since I start to make quick decision, I also think these children should learn to make it when they're childhood. Like
Yes.
when they are child, when we are child, we don't ask, we are not asked to make decision. People make decision for us. Okay, so we are paralyzed in
Yes.
our decision making. And so in our dream class, we ask the kids to list down what they want, what's their wishes, and then decide their goals. It can be a small one, making
Yes.
cookies. It can be something they want to be in the future. But once they decide their goal, and they need to be, they start to become responsible. Oh, this is
Yes.
something I want, and I really wanted the desire to come
Yes.
out. And so they self-motivated themselves, and they also change their habits. The kids that we have been working with, one small guy, 8 years old. He was like all the time procrastinating to go to school. Every morning he is late. And but after the dream class, the mother says, in the end, she said the kids now wake up at 6 a.m. by himself. Mother doesn't ask him to do that, but he just wake up at 6 a.m. and then take care of like breakfast himself, and then wear the dress, not dress, but his clothes, everything. And he do it by himself, and then sitting there waiting for his mother to go to school. No procrastinating anymore.
Yes.
Why? Because he is motivated. He wants to become that person he dreamed to be.
Yes.
So we don't need to remind him to wake up early. No, he will do it by himself. Because naturally, everyone, we want to grow. We want to be better person. And it's our nature. Everything in the nature is growing. So we just need to allow it. But most of the time we suppress it, right?
Yes.
He want this? No, you cannot want it. So
And it's
decision
because
is
of
so
fear.
important. Yeah.
It's because of, we have fear, worry, and doubt that we can't do it. Right? Because we weren't given the opportunity to express ourselves, exactly what you said. And Shamo, can you talk about a little bit how we build some habits, and sometimes some bad habits, and even our children today are building bad habits. How do you see that affecting them, in the long run, if we don't step in to help them?
It's interesting how you are saying what's in my mind. So I was just going to talk about that myself. Oh, amazing. Yeah, aligned. So, yeah, in a sense, decision making is a very broad term in a sense, because decision making can also come in the sense of, like, for example, if a friend, like, you're pissed off with your friend, you keep it to yourself because you feel like, oh, my feelings are not valid. And where does that thought come from? It's because of the whole part of decision making, as parents and even as teachers, we don't ask them what they want. And so they feel like their feelings are not valid, their thoughts are not valid, what they have in mind and what's hurting them is not valid. So they keep it to themselves. And over time, it can manifest, just like you were saying, Giovanna, maybe as fear. They're scared they'll hurt their friend. Or it could also be in the form of anger, violence, and might even succumb into threatening, go into aggression and all of that. So it's like small things, like, things like sharing with your friend about what hurts you, or even talking to your parents, like, Mom, I didn't like this. Small little things like that, over time, it can, like, jumble up and just manifest as extreme emotions, basically. It's all because of that suppression, as Anne was saying. So,
yeah, absolutely. I think back even in my childhood, and, Anne, you said it, we were taught to be quiet. We were taught that our opinion didn't matter. We were taught, especially when we went to go visit an aunt, an uncle, a friend, you sat on the couch and you just fiddled your thumbs, right? There was no phone. You just spoke to each other in a very low, with your sisters and brothers, if you had any, or otherwise you just sat there quietly. You were afraid to ask for a drink of water. And that was the truth. And so today, we talk about how important it is for children to express themselves, so that, like you said, Shamo, they don't keep it inside, whether they're feeling good or feeling bad. It's so important for children to express themselves, to acknowledge what they're feeling, and to have a voice. So, Dr. Musor, can you talk about that? Because as a pediatrician, I'm sure, you see children open up to you before they even open up to their parent. I know that's what I experienced as a teacher. It's like the kids didn't want to talk in front of their parent. And then when the parent left, they were just like letting me have it. I'm like, your mother should have been here right now.
You are so right. That's a beautiful example, especially for children who have gone through, I wouldn't call it trauma, but let's say like some bullying, or they've hurt themselves or something like that, where they suddenly feel like they've done something bad. And if they share it with their parents, then they're going to get in trouble. And actually,
Yes.
they don't understand that it's for their own safety. But where did they learn that? Kids are sponges.
Yes.
Everything that they learn is from around them.
Yes.
And if they see their parents not communicating, that's what they understand a parental relationship to be. If they see them arguing, again, that's what they take up. Okay, well, not only do they take on the energy and hold that inside them, which can manifest, as Shama was saying, that childhood trauma, mental health later on, but it's just because they've learned that from their environment, from the people around them. They've learned from their teachers that if I do this, the consequence is this. Even if they themselves didn't do something wrong, if they see a child do something wrong and that's the consequence, well, I'm never going to say anything in case I'm wrong, in case I get teased or whatever it is. And from more of the health perspective, we were saying that we weren't growing up, we were sat on the sofa. You don't share your opinion, you don't talk, you were made to be seen and not heard. Yeah. And then there was this interim, well, yeah, when we were younger, we played outside, we explored, we played in mud, and that built our immune system. Whereas now children are given the phone, again, seen but not heard. You just sit there quietly on your phone. Do not disturb me. Don't go outside, because anytime a child goes outside, the parent has that fear that something's going to happen. So again, the child now has that fear that I don't want to go outside. And they grow up, and COVID showed this. So many adults suddenly started expressing that social anxiety that they never had before.
Right.
Really outgoing people suddenly are like, I'm terrified to go on the train, because society created that. So if you imagine, the children are picking up on that and they don't want to play outside. And that, again, I keep coming back to the health side of it, but that affects not just their mental health, but their physical health. They don't have an immune system. So then now they go and see Shamo, they come and see me, they're coming to hospital loads, and that becomes their life. And they don't get to be creative. They don't get to go out and be with other children. So there's just so many aspects to it. You don't realize how deep it goes, how widespread it can really affect the lives.
Absolutely. I love what you said. Several things that you pointed out is that they build this belief, basically, right? That is now ingrained in them. And beliefs and emotions, I've learned through the work that I've done as well, is that that's what guides us in our life, right? Our emotions guide our actions, our thinking, our emotions guide what we do. And if we're not motivated, if we are suppressing how we feel, we're not speaking up, the result in our life cannot be good, right? So it's so important to change the beliefs. Change the beliefs you said, and we all know, children are like sponges. So I don't know if anyone here studied Dr. Bruce Lipton, but he wrote the book Biology of Belief. And in that book, he states how we are driven by our beliefs, but our beliefs are inherited from our family, our environment, and before we're actually 7 years old.
Yes.
So, therefore, if our beliefs are guiding our lives, that means whatever happened to us in the early ages of life, whether it was fear, trauma, whatever experience we had at a very young age, which I say now it's so important to, in the home, as when they're babies, just to speak the right words, right? Because they're like sponges, they will pick up. And I taught first grade, the kids are, 6 years old, and they're coming in with the language that they inherited from home. So the environment totally impacts a child's life at a very young age. And we as parents, caregivers, society must be cognizant of that, because this is what creates who they are if they're not exposed to good language and experiences. right? So, and this is the work that I believe with this dream class, we help to identify, what's holding them back, and so they can really connect to their true self, their true essence, and their passion. Um, we have about 5 minutes left. I really want to go into like your final thoughts of how important it is to help these kids be in an environment where we allow them to reconnect not only to themselves because they lost connection to themselves with society and the telephone. I mean, the apps and everything they're using, social media, but reconnect where we're not looking to compete, but we're looking to be in cooperation with each other from across the world. So let's just give a little final last thought. I mean, for me, I will say that, for anyone watching this, do your homework. Come in and check out this class, Dream Class. The link is on the Facebook page, or you can also contact me on my website and I'll give you more information. But we're really trying to create here is what Anne calls unite. And I don't want to I don't want to steal your fame. So go ahead. What did you call it? Unite?
Unique creators. We are all creators on this earth. We can create our own life. We design our own destiny, and we come together, united together, to make this world a better place. And I really resonate with what Giovanna said, why this is very important for the kids to learn about this dream class, because they are programmed. Most of the programming is happening before 7 years old, but we can change it, teach kids how to change it at younger age, because they are so absorbing like a sponge, right?
Yes.
And so we don't want to wait till they are adults and they can just like us repair. We want to prepare the children so they have this strong self-belief with themselves, and they can difference what's good for them or not good for them. They can decide what they want to build inside of themselves and become the true self, and really connect with who they really are, and they express who they really are, and they become so powerful, and they connect with the world, people, and the nature.
Beautiful, beautiful. And Shamo?
Oh, so from my end, I feel like I'll just keep it very short. So, you think of it like a plant, like a child is just a seed just growing, right? It doesn't matter where they came from, like the soil, what type it is, and everything. We are like the fertilizers. So we let them blossom into what they really want to be and give them that nourishment that allowing them to really find out who they really are. And for me personally, like you're all my fertilizers in a sense. Because right
Yeah.
now for me, even though I'm doing medicine, I get to choose what this degree means for me personally. You know, instead of going into like the real doctor environment, I can choose what I want to do with it. So yeah, we can give that to children. How amazing would that be?
Oh,
Yeah.
totally, totally. They are our future for sure. So it's like you said, creating that good fertilizer for them, where we can feed them the information that they need to express themselves and authentically. And Dr. Musur, your last thoughts?
Yeah, just adding to what everybody else has shared, I always believe that it's 70% nurture and only 30% nature, like your genetics. You were given a good amount from your ancestors, but you've just seen in the past years how impactful the environment is, like we've all shared, the people, the company, all of that. And so if we can really optimize that 70% for these children and not necessarily give it to them, but open their eyes to it, how can they create that for themselves? That will in itself be such a beautiful gift that we can offer from our own selves, from our own stories and experiences, what we can share for them to continue to blossom, like you said.
So beautiful. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, if you want more information, please connect with me or Anne. Shimon, how do people get in touch with you if they want to connect with you?
You can basically visit me at my Instagram, just my name, @Shamodaya. The S is a small s. Yeah.
Okay, beautiful. And Dr. Musera, how can people contact with you?
Yeah, likewise. So in LinkedIn as Dr. Maysurya, or also on Instagram as Dr. Radha Maysurya.
Awesome. And Anne?
And she, Facebook.
Awesome. Okay, well, everyone, thank you for joining us today. And like I said, we're here to really create a global class, a dream class for our future children and future generation, our children and future generation. They need our help. They need our help. And this is what we're here to do because we have a passion to make sure that this world is a better world for all of us. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. Until next time, I'm your host, Giovanna Tordomon. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining me.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you for joining me on Sparking Change with Gigi. I hope that our episode today has ignited a spark within you to create positive change in your own life and in the world around you. To learn more about how you can become a guest or supporter, head over to sparkingchangenow.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, please consider subscribing, sharing, and leaving a review. Your feedback is incredibly valuable to me, and it helps me to continue producing content that sparks change in each of us and the world. You can find us on various platforms, including Google Play Store, Apple App Store, YouTube, Facebook, Roku, Android TV, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. Thank you again for watching, and I look forward to having you join me again next week on Sparking Change with Gigi.